Vanishing act: the disappearance of a family. It was 2010 when the world seemed to swallow the B family whole. They lived in a quiet village in the Netherlands. One day they were simply gone. No goodbyes, no explanations. Their neighbors and friends were baffled. The family's sudden absence was unsettling. It left a void in the community. Whispers turned into worries. Still, no one could have predicted the truth. The B family hadn't simply moved away. They had embarked on a journey into a life shrouded in secrecy, a life hidden from the prying eyes of the outside world. Joseph B., the patriarch of the family, had orchestrated their disappearance. Driven by a worldview steeped in doomsday prophecies, he believed the end was near. He sought refuge in isolation. He wanted to shield his family from the impending apocalypse. He moved them to a remote farmhouse in the Dutch countryside. Little did they know, this isolated farmhouse would become their prison. They would remain hidden for almost a decade. The family's disappearance went unnoticed for years. Joseph B. had meticulously planned their escape from society. They severed all ties with the outside world. No phone calls, no internet, no contact with friends or extended family. They were completely isolated. They were at the mercy of their father's increasingly bizarre and controlling beliefs. Life inside the farmhouse was one of strict rules and religious indoctrination. The children, shielded from the outside world, grew up in a distorted reality. They had no access to education, healthcare, or even basic social interaction. The farmhouse became their entire universe, a universe where their father was the sole arbiter of truth and reality, a universe where the outside world was a dangerous and corrupting influence. The farmhouse of secrets: life in the shadows. The farmhouse, nestled amidst sprawling fields, was a picture of rural tranquility. Yet behind its idyllic facade lay a disturbing reality. The B family lived in a state of perpetual secrecy. The curtains were always drawn, the windows boarded shut. The children, growing up without the sunlight of the outside world, lived in a perpetual twilight. Their world was small, confined to the four walls of the farmhouse. Their days were governed by a rigid routine of chores, prayers, and homeschooling. Joseph B., a strict disciplinarian, ruled with an iron fist. He controlled every aspect of their lives, their diets, their movements, even their thoughts. The children were taught to fear the outside world. They believed it was a den of sin and corruption. They were completely cut off from any outside influences. Their only connection to the outside world was their father. He controlled the narrative, feeding them a steady diet of conspiracy theories and apocalyptic prophecies. He convinced them that they were the chosen ones, destined to survive the impending end of the world. The children, deprived of normal social interaction, developed their own unique way of communicating. They created their own language, a secret code only they understood. They found solace in their shared isolation. They supported each other through the long, dark days. Years turned into seasons, and seasons into endless cycles of routine. The children grew older, yet their world remained small, confined within the walls of the farmhouse. Their lives were a bizarre echo of normalcy, a warped reflection of childhood stolen and innocence lost. A cry for help, escape from isolation. The year was 2019. 9 years had passed since the B family vanished. The outside world had long given up hope of finding them. However, fate had other plans. One of the children, now a young man, harbored a dangerous secret. He had been secretly accessing the internet, piecing together the truth. He knew he had to escape. One night, driven by hope, he slipped out of the farmhouse. He walked into a local pub, a beacon of warmth and light. He confided in the bartender, his words tumbling out. The bartender's call to the police sent shockwaves through the village. The B family was found. Their story became an instant media sensation. Unmasking the patriarch, arrest and allegations. News of the family's discovery spread like wildfire. The farmhouse, once a picture of rural tranquility, was now swarming with police cars and news vans. The world held its breath, waiting for answers. The police, armed with a search warrant, entered the farmhouse. What they found inside shocked even the most seasoned investigators. The children, malnourished and unkempt, were living in squalor. They were bewildered, blinking in the sunlight that streamed through the open doors. They had spent most of their lives in the shadows, hidden from the world. Joseph B., the man who had orchestrated their isolation, was arrested. He was charged with unlawful detention and child abuse. As the investigation unfolded, a chilling portrait of Joseph B. emerged. He was a man obsessed with control, driven by a warped sense of religious righteousness. He had subjected his children to years of psychological manipulation and abuse. He had robbed them of their childhoods, their education, and their right to experience the world. The public was horrified. How could such a thing happen? How could a family vanish without a trace for 9 years? The case sparked outrage and disbelief. People demanded answers. They wanted to know how such a horrific situation could have gone unnoticed for so long. The case of the Ruinerwold family, as it came to be known, became a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of children and the devastating consequences of isolation and control.